You're listening to Iceland News Review, the weekly news podcast of Iceland Review. Subscribe and tune in each Friday to get the latest from our fair shores. I'm Andy Sophia Fontaine, and these are the week's top stories in Iceland. First up on Iceland News Review, meet the new president of Iceland. After a record voter turnout of about 80%, businesswoman Halla Tómasdóttir became the 7th president of the Republic of Iceland. Polls in the day before the election showed her virtually tied with former Prime Minister Katrín Jakobsdóttir, who had resigned from her post earlier this spring in order to run. Only weeks previous, Halla was polling in single digits, but began to rise in the polls following televised debates. Interestingly, while Iceland does have voting districts, presidential elections simply tally the ballots from all of them combined to reach a total. Iceland has a first-past-the-post system, wherein a candidate only needs to gain the most votes in order to win, not necessarily a majority. In this case, Halla won just over 73,000 votes, or just over 34% of the total. If this seems like a small margin, bear in mind that the previous president, Guðni Th. Jóhannesson, won the 2016 election with about 39% of the votes. Interestingly, Halla came in second during that election. Almost immediately after the win, several political thinkers began speculating about the effect that so-called tactical voting had on the outcome in an attempt to reconcile Halla polling evenly with Katrín, yet winning by a margin of about 10%. And indeed, an exit poll showed that many voters had chosen to vote for her over their first choice, believing that she had a better chance of winning. However, a poll that followed showed that even if people who voted tactically were excluded, Halla still would have won the election, albeit by a slimmer margin. So, who is she? Halla Tómasdóttir was a founding member of Reykjavik University and was also the CEO of B Team. In an interview with Iceland Review, she also stressed the importance of reforming Iceland's constitution. You may remember the whole discourse about Iceland crowdsourcing a new constitution back in 2009 and 2010. Well, the draft for the new constitution has been stuck in legal limbo ever since. Halla participated in the 2009 National Assembly to draft a new constitution and told us that she still believes the constitution should be changed. As a point of interest, she specifically named changing the constitution to, quote, consider a two-round voting system so that the president is elected with majority support, end quote, and raised the requirement for the number of signatures needed to get on the ballot. Halla will officially take office in August. It's the end of an era as the Hlemmur bus terminal has now closed. Hlemmur Food Hall is still in operation, but buses no longer stop there. Hlemmur has a long and storied history in Iceland. Once used as a watering station for horses, the structure that we know and love today was first constructed in 1978. From that point on and into the early 2000s, it was a bus terminal that housed a little shop, a passport photo station, and even a bakery. It was also a popular hangout spot for Reykjavik's punk scene in the 1970s and 80s, as well as one of the few places in town where homeless people could keep themselves warm. This was actually covered in a 2003 documentary, also called Hlemmur. In 2017, major renovations took place that converted Hlemmur to a food hall, kicking off a trend that swept the city and later the whole country. The bus routes that used to stop at Hlemmur have been rerouted now. You can see where these new routes stop by visiting bus.is. The food hall will remain in operation, and the surrounding area is going to be converted into a walking area, which is expected to be completed in 2025. The volcanic eruption on the Reykjanes Peninsula that kicked off last week is already showing signs of stabilizing. And by that I don't mean it's been slowing down, just stabilizing. The eruption, which began midday on May 29th, was a fissure eruption, just as with previous eruptions in the area. As before, this initial long crack in the earth, 2.5 kilometers long in this case, was spewing great plumes of lava into the air, but eventually simmered down to 3 craters. At the time of this writing, it is now 1 crater. Activity within it is being described as stable by scientists. Meanwhile, at the nearby town of Grindavik, electricity has been restored, albeit to a limited capacity. As it stands, the government is still offering to buy the property of Grindavik residents, and while many are moving away, a few are choosing to remain. Minister of Fisheries Bjarkey Olsen Gunnarsdóttir is expected to make a decision next Tuesday on whether or not fin whale hunting will continue in Iceland. Hvalur HF, the last company in Iceland to hunt fin whales, filed for a 5-year permit to hunt whales last January. Since then, the CEO of Hvalur, Kristján Lofsson, has complained that the process was taking too long. Akranes Union President Vilhjálmur Birgisson has made similar remarks, saying that he doesn't believe the company will have time to get ships ready for the hunt, given how long this process has taken. In response, the minister responded that in 2019, the process took 4 whole months, with the hunt not beginning until mid-July, a month later than usual. She added that the ministry needed to examine several factors, such as whether or not fin whale hunting is in harmony with animal welfare law, and whether Hvalur has sufficiently complied with those laws. Last year, former Minister of Fisheries Svandís Svavarsdóttir issued a temporary ban on fin whale hunting on the day the hunt was to begin. This was done in response to a report from the Food and Veterinary Authority that showed Hvalur was operating against animal welfare law. This ban, which ended when the season was virtually over, was later ruled unlawful by the parliamentary ombudsman. Whale hunting has since then remained a bone of contention within the ruling coalition. Lastly, on Iceland News Review, an abandoned reindeer calf is reportedly thriving at an East Iceland reindeer sanctuary. The female calf was found in the mountains just outside of Eyjasteiðir in northeast Iceland. The people who found it immediately called Reindeer Park, a sanctuary for reindeer near town. Caring for the calf, who is only about 2 weeks old, is a lot of work. Reindeer farmer Björn Magnusson sleeps just outside the calf's shed, waking to feed it milk every 2 hours. Thanks to this care and attention, the calf is thriving. Now, if you're noticing I'm just calling her the reindeer calf and not her proper name, that's because she doesn't have one, yet. The Reindeer Park is currently running a naming contest for her. The winner will receive a prize that includes 2 nights of accommodation at the park, a ticket to nearby Vuk baths, and more. Send them an email at reindeerparkiceland, as one word, @gmail.com. For the curious, reindeer are not actually native to Iceland. Rather, they were imported from Norway over the course of over 70 years in the late 18th century. By historical accounts, only the reindeer who were brought to East Iceland thrived. They have no natural predators, and so hunting is allowed, albeit under a strict quota. We at Iceland Review are happy to announce that we've started launching new video content. You can check those out at icelandreview.com/videos. We've explored the eruption area and paid a visit to snowstorms up north, and we'll be bringing you much more quality material to come. Next up, the weather this weekend. Friday is going to be sunny, warm, but quite windy in the southern half of the country. In the northern half, expect rain and high winds. In fact, a yellow alert is in effect for North Iceland through Friday night. This means winds from 8 to 15 meters per second and snow. Yes, snow in June. Driving through that area at that time is not advised. That yellow alert extends into Saturday during the day. For the rest of the country, expect cloudy skies, warm temperatures, and calmer winds, although the southeast may see some sunshine. Finally, on Sunday, the southern half of Iceland can expect sunny skies, very warm temperatures in the low teens, and gentle breezes. It will also be calm and warm in the north, but skies will be cloudy. As for road conditions, bear in mind that all roads into the highlands are closed to regular traffic, so don't try heading up there unless you're in a glacier tour group or something similar. Also, bear in mind that the eruption area is closed to visitors. Apart from that, road conditions are fair all along the coastline. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, or X. For all your travel needs in Iceland, be sure to visit n.veður.is. That's en.vedur.is, as well as road.is and safetravel.is. Through these 3 websites, you'll get up-to-the-minute information on weather and road conditions, as well as possible incoming natural events. By staying updated through these sites, you'll not only save yourself a lot of time and money, you'll also be able to enjoy Iceland with peace of mind. That's all for me this week on Iceland News Review. Be good to each other.